Good morning, everyone. My name is Lytle, and I'll be hosting today's Introduction to Edge course for Mortgage Coach. What we're going to do today is get you familiar with Edge and RateWatch. So what we're going to be doing is going through creating this style report, which is a total cost analysis for a purchase transaction. We're going to create an FHA product as well as a conventional product. And while doing this, we're going to go ahead and show you how you'll be able to create product and fee templates as well, and go through all the processes as well as downloading the apps and items like that. So how we're going to use GoToMeeting is open up the question area and write any questions as you're going through, and let me address them as we're going through this training here. And also in the chat area of GoToMeeting, I have listed quite a few links, links to Edge, links to RateWatch, both the desktop version as well as the online version. And I also have links to the mobile apps in there. So you could gather those and have those handy and be able to use them afterwards. So now what we want to do is, first I'm going to do is discuss the report itself. So it's good to have an idea of understanding the report itself, and then when we go to Edge, you'll be able to understand more of the fields that are required to create this report. So what we're going to do is go through the report here, and what we're doing is in the summary section in the upper right hand corner. What this does is provide information, basic information about the loan. So if you're currently providing an email or an Excel to your clients, just to take a look, you have your loan amount, your interest rate, as well as that payment that is on the face of the summary. So if you're doing an email providing that payment rate, you have all that information here on your Edge report. We also have information about the payment stream, so you'll be able to discuss the mortgage insurance compared to FHA versus mortgage insurance on a conventional loan. Also, we have, if you're doing an ARM, you'll be able to see the payment stream on an ARM and discuss that with your borrower. So there's more details behind each loan option, and if you go into your More Info button, that's where you can get those details. So what we have is our payment breakdown, and in this tab you'll be able to find the price value of the home, the straight P&I payment of each product, and then you have your monthly cost listed, just like a payment letter. So then at the end you have your total petty payment. So you can find all that information in the payment breakdown tab. And then if you move to the closing cost tab, we have our down payment, so you'll be able to see that, what's the difference in down payments between your products, as well as that LTV ratio. Then we group lump sum all our costs as APR, non-APR if you had points. We also display the upfront premium, if you had any prepaids, which are your escrow amounts, and any kind of contributions. So with that, even though we lump all those items here, we also have the details in the fee detail button. So with that, you'll be able to see all the fee descriptions, dollar amounts, who it's being paid by, if it's an APR fee or an escrow charge. So we have all those details, be able to provide that transparency between you and your client. And then the last tab in that summary area is your reinvestment tab. And this is a great area to be able to start learning, because you'll be able to reinvest those savings in that 141 back into principal. So we do have the option to be able to do that and have a matrix either to put the amount into principal, or you have a savings balance or investment balance. So we have multiple ways of being able to reinvest that money in the reinvestment strategy. So those are the details under the summary section, so we'll be able to show you when we do the data entry how to be able to go ahead and place all that information here. Next, in the upper right-hand corner, you have your monthly payment savings. And you'll see there's no graph on that FHA product, and the reason for it, it's the highest payment. So when it's the highest payment, they have no graph, and then the product next to it, and if you have multiple products, it will show the savings over that highest payment. So that conventional product saving 142 months over that FHA. But then if you go into the More Info button, you'd be able to have the monthly payment breakdown here. And if you had a second lien, the second lien data will appear below that. We also show the property appreciation rate here, which takes effect in the long-term area, so I'll show you where that is. And if you use a tax bracket, want to show a tax benefit, you have that information here, and that percentage would display. So I'll show you that when we go into input to get an idea where that field is. So now let's go down into the short-term area in that lower left-hand corner. And we have savings over a 60-month period. And this 60-month period, when we go into Edge, is a variable field. So you'll be able to talk to your client, be able to ask them questions on how long they're going to be staying in the home. So possibly they might be moving in 4 years, so you'd want to put 48 months in that area. Maybe they're going to stay 7 years in that home. So those are conversation pieces that you can have with your client and then make those updates into Edge to show more of an idea of their short-term and long-term goals. So again, you notice the FHA product has no graph because it's the highest cost loan. And what the short-term savings is showing is the savings of unrecoverable costs. A lot of people want to take that 142 and multiply it by 60, but actually let's click on that More Info button, and you'll be able to see that the interest in MI is calculated over that 60-month period. Then we add the closing costs to that figure, and that is the total cost of the unrecoverable amounts on your loan. So that's what we do our comparison, and that's what the net savings displays. And lastly, let's cover the long-term section, interest in MI over a 15-year period. So we're displaying that full amount of how much they paid in interest in MI. And then if you click on the More Info button, it's quite good. We have many. Let me go ahead and clear my highlights out. And we'll also show you later how to make those highlights and clear them, just like I'm doing. Remember in the monthly payment savings, we talked about property appreciation rate. So with that, this is where it displays on the report. So we had 3% in there, and it's showing a 3% appreciation each year over that 15-year period. We also provide you that loan balance. So at the end of 15 years, you know exactly how much is left on the loan. We also provide some other interesting facts like the equity, how much equity they built over time, the total principal that they paid, and the total penny payments they paid over that 15 years, and as well as that total interest in MI. We also have options when we get into Edge. I'll be able to show you how you'll be able to display net worth in this area or principal paid. So this is a changeable area right here. So last thing I want to point out on the report is the lower right-hand corner. And here we have our print button. So if you want to be able to print a copy, or your client can do it on its own. They'll be able to print it. You'll be able to see the face of the report from the desktop. And then all that More Info button is behind it in multiple pages here. So you'll be able to have all that information as well as your fees. And the client can print this at any time as well. So you don't always have to print it or save it as a PDF. The borrower has the option to do so. So I want to be able to point that out to you. So now what we want to do, let's jump into Edge, and we're going to go ahead and create the style report and answer any kind of questions that you may have. So let's go ahead, and I would like you to log into Edge with me, and that's edge.mortgagecoach.com. Go ahead and put in your email address here and your password. So once you get into Edge, what we have here is our home screen. In the home screen, in the upper area, you have your client-facing report. So that's the total cost analysis as well as the rent versus own. In the lower area here, we have our partner-facing report. So those are the open house flyer and the seller buy down. So with those two areas, we're going to be creating a client-facing report, the total cost analysis, but all the tools and the features we're using to build the total cost also could be used in the open house. So even though we're learning on a total cost, a lot of these functions work for all style reports. So you look at the top here. When you click creating a new client-facing report, you would want to start with new client. If you're doing a partner-facing one, you would click on new partner. We're going to go through settings at the end, be able to touch base with that, be able to look at our feed templates and such. And then I also want to point out, go ahead and click on that help button. So on that help button you have our search engine, but I also want to point out we do have our coaching call archive and calendar of events. So we have a lot more in here, but we also have video tutorials to help you create Edge videos as well as a search engine. So say in the knowledge base I want to know more about Edge Live. So if I put just the word Edge Live in here, you could see how all the video tutorials or frequently asked questions with the word live goes ahead and displays. So just be able to use that, especially going into the weekend. Our support is closed, but come in here, do a search, be able to find out more information on the topic that you have questions on. So now what I want to do is let's dive into creating a report. So let's go ahead and click on New Client. And that will start our process off on creating a total cost analysis. So if we click on New Client, you'll see at the base we have 8 screens to go through. And just to let you know, as we go through it, I'm going to explain all the fields. But the first 4 screens here, just to let you know, you'll only have to key in technically about 4 fields. So it's not a lot of data if you want to get through Edge quickly. So I did want to point that out. And then we'll come to our product section where we'll key in our FHA and conventional. The analysis is where that reinvestment strategy screen is, as well as customizing the report, contact information, and then we're done in presenting. So let's go ahead and start keying in information here. Let's type in John Smith as our name. You'll notice at the top we have 2 radio buttons. We have individual as well as marketing. And you notice when I press the marketing one, the names disappear. And that's the only difference. You have a report headline versus first, middle, last, as well as a co-borrower's name. So those are the difference between the radio buttons there. So you would fill in the information here. When you come to does he or she rent or own? Own is providing you the total cost analysis. So you want to keep it on own. But with the same record, if you have a first-time home buyer, you can also provide them a rent versus own report. So we do have, with one record, you can create 2 reports. You can capture your referral as well as sending a partner or maybe a loan assistant that email alert. And to see what that email alert looks like, let's bring one up. And you see here with the email alert, you'll receive one of these when the borrower has closed the report. As soon as they close the report, that triggers this email. And at that point, you'll be able to find out how long they viewed the report, who the report is for, and you'd be able to click here, be able to view the report. If you're not access to Edge real quick, just to be able to review the numbers again with you. And this is the point of time where you want to reach out to your client, see if you can answer any questions. So this is a great tool to be able to know when to reach out. And if you have a loan officer's assistant or a processor that might want to receive those emails, go ahead and place their email address in that partner email. And they'll receive the alert, and they can always reach out on your behalf to see if there's any questions or set an appointment up for you. So that's what the partner email would do. And friendly name field is a great habit to get into to fill in. So this is a reference name of your report. When you're doing open house flyers, a great item to put in this friendly name field is the street address. And with the street address on a realtor, that way you can, what we do is have a copy. So once you've set up a partner for an open house flyer, upload their image, contact information, you don't have to do it again because you could copy that information. But how do you know each report? That's when the friendly name comes into play. And on an open house, if you put that street address there, great way of identifying it for that partner. In this particular case, I'm just identifying purchase. If it's a refi, maybe investment property, just put something in here just to identify that particular loan. I also want to point out to the lower right-hand side, this is a notes section. And you can place notes in this area, and you'll see, whoops, let me finish my sentence, in this area. Great. So you'll notice as I advance my screen, those notes carry with you, and they'll carry with you throughout the screens. And this also could be an area you could pass notes if you have an assistant that comes in here and assists you. You'd be able to place those notes here. As you fill up this, you'll see a sidebar. It will continue on. So great area to place your notes. Now let's go ahead in our goals area. I'm marking purchase a new home. This will trigger purchase screens. If I was doing a refinance, you could fill out this information because it's part of that conversation you have, but I just want to let you know it's not necessary. Just if you're doing a purchase, mark purchase a new home, and you can move right through. Now we're coming to our assumptions area, and this is where you put in the property value. So I'm putting in $350,000, and if I was doing a refinance, I capture their current mortgage on their payment, the original value as well as that payoff amount. But what I want to do right now to be able to show you what these red fields indicate, so if I remove that dollar amount here and I advance my screen, if you take a look at the bottom in the ribbon, you'll see that there's a exclamation mark. And when you see this exclamation mark, that is letting you know that there's data missing. And the data is missing in a red field. So I want to point that out, so if you ever receive that mark, just go back and make sure that everything's filled in. It will show when you're doing a VA with 0 down because it's expecting a down payment. So it gives you an idea what those exclamation marks are for. So now if we move on to our next screen, our affordabilities, this screen here, if you want to move fast, you do not need to fill this screen out. But to show you all the options in Edge, let me go ahead and fill in this data. So say their current gross income was $95,000. Credit status, we do not run credit. This is just a tab to be able to identify what it was, what they told you. And then say they had $500 in non-mortgage debt. So this item, the current annual gross income and your debt, will provide you debt to income ratio once we get to our product. So that's what those fields will do for you. And say on the savings balance they have $25,000, and it is a savings account, so the rate's quite low, and I have 0.25. So what the savings balance will be able to help you is start it for that reinvestment strategy, as well as letting you know if they have enough money for cash to close. We'll come back to this area, the savings balance, when we get to that analysis screen. So that's where they connect up. And this is that tax bracket field where I talked to you in the monthly payment area about a tax bracket percentage. This is where you key it in. This is if you want to show the tax benefit on the report. And if you're not sure of the tax bracket, you could go ahead and click on Find Tax Bracket. It opens a new web page for you. You can identify the year, filing status, and just get a rough estimate on your tax bracket. And this will go ahead and provide you that information to place right here. And then if you're doing MCC tax credits, if you look at this button, Tax Credits, you'll be able to see there's a pop-up. So you'll be able to provide this information. And with those MCC tax credits, you'll be able to show the loan options with and without that credit. So if your company does that, we do have the options to provide that loan scenario for you. So next, as I advance the screen, and I do want to point out, anytime you move left to right or just move into a different screen, that's your save function. That's saving that data. And now we're coming to the second affordability screen, and this is just basic data if you choose to fill it out. It's just, maximum and ideal mortgage payment and price range of the home. So you can fill this out. In this instance, I'm just going to go ahead and move on. So now we're at our product section. So going through this and just recapping the first 4 screens, technically on the client section, you just need to enter that name and make sure it's marked own or rent, depending on the report. And I always like to fill in the name field. Goals, you need to put your purchase. Assumptions, your appraisal amount, so that triggers your mortgage insurance cutoff. And then basically go to product. So there's only very few screens fields you have to key in. So now let's key in a product title. So the first product we're going to key in is an FHA, 3.5% down. So with that, you put in a title, and the title needs to be limited to 12 characters. So just go ahead and place that title in here, and it is not a refinance. And if you're on an enterprise account, if you do select the drop-down, that drop-down will provide you different product types. So if you do have it, take a look for a 3.5% FHA, and select it. What I'm going to do is create this from scratch so you'll be able to build a template. But if you see in the product templates, that's where you have it. We're going to build and add to this template area. So now let's go ahead and put in our dollar amount of $350,000. And forgot a question here, is the loan a VA or FHA? So you want to mark that yes. And the reason for that is when we get into our fee screen, that triggers that upfront MI field. So want to make sure that's a yes. Now I'm going to press that percent sign. And what that percent sign does is just a toggle between the percentage and the dollar amount. So I want to go ahead and put in 3.5% down. We're using 4 1/4 rate and a term of 360. So when we develop this template, 3.5% will be part of your template, as well as the 360 and marking it yes for FHA. So all those fields will be defaulted for you, and all you'll have to do is key in that interest rate. So building these templates out will save you time. So now as we move to the right, I want to point out the graphs in the upper right-hand corner. As we move screens to the fee screen, you'll see we're beginning to build graphs. So this graph right now is showing just the P&I payment because we haven't reached the monthly costs yet. Below that, you have your debt-to-income ratio as well as your LTV percentage. So that was the information we filled out in that affordability screen. So now let's first start with our upfront MI. So go ahead and select that percentage field and put in 1.75 for the upfront MI and add it to the loan amount. This will be part of your default as well. Now let's default prepaid interest. So I'm putting in 15 days, and you'll notice if I hover my mouse over that, it will provide me the dollar amount. So find out if your company defaults 15. I've also seen 30 days, and this will be part of your default as well. So there's two ways of doing fees. You can either lump sum them, say APR costs are $1,500, non-APR costs are $1,400, prepaids are around $2,500. So you can estimate it as a lump sum amount here, or what you could do is build your fee templates. So let me show you how building the fee templates work. If I go into the closing cost details, and now if you're on an enterprise account, you might have some fee templates. So first off, identify what state you're in, and then pull your fee template based on conventional FHA. In this case, we're doing an FHA product. Just select an FHA product from your drop-down. What I'm going to do is build a fee template from scratch, and when we get to the conventional product, we'll actually then pull down that same fee template and show you how you can modify those. So first off, how do you build a fee template? The best way to do it is to go ahead and print a fee sheet from your LOS system. And the fee sheet's going to have your fee descriptions, your dollar amounts, if the fee's an APR or not. So it's a great place to start building the fee templates out. And to be able to put the fees in, we have two buttons here, these green buttons, add a fee or add a custom fee. So what I'm going to do first is show you how to add an APR, non-APR fee, and then we'll show you how to build a custom fee. We'll talk a little bit about the contributions as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Fee twice, and you'll see we now have line items. And with that, you'll see the description. There's a drop-down. We have multiple descriptions in here to choose from. We can do the method for the dollar amount as a percentage. We also have an area for a cushion. So we have a percentage field, a dollar field, and the combination would provide a total. Then you look, we have the paid by field. So you can have it paid by borrower, lender, or seller, APR, or add to the loan, and then we have a prepaid escrow that I'll explain shortly. So those are the different fields for each fee. So the first one I want to do is, with my drop down, I'm going to choose a processing fee. So type the letter P, it brings you down to the P's, and then I'm selecting processing fee. So let's go ahead and key in that amount and mark it as an APR item. So that's our first fee in our template. So now let's choose a non-APR item. So if I go to my drop down, I'm going to put in an appraisal fee. So I type the letter A, choosing appraisal fee, and then put in that amount. So that's how simple it is to put in an APR, non-APR fee. So now what happens if you can't find your description here? What you could do is add a custom fee. So if I click on Add Custom Fee, you'll notice now I have a new pop-out screen asking for the fee name. If the percentage field is based off the loan amount or the property value, which is your sales price, if it's a prepaid escrow item or an APR item. So what I'm going to do is just type in the word custom fee. I know, very original. So let's go ahead and put in that. And I'm putting in the date, and you don't need to put in this date. I'm doing it so you can see my template from the drop down. So I'm just identifying you do not need to put in that. If the fee was a APR fee, you would go ahead and mark it here, or if you were doing escrow or any kind of non-fee items like earnest money, things like that. So once you've created this custom fee, then press OK. And now that one is in your drop-down. Just one moment. Excuse me there. So now it's in your drop-down. You'll be able to use this fee on any future loans as well. And when we're done, I'll also show you in the settings how you can modify those custom labels. So if you accidentally did a typo or want to change it slightly, you can do that once you've created it. So that's in our settings. We'll go through that in a moment. So here's our custom fee. I'm just going to go ahead and enter amount as $600. And now let's work on contributions. So that's always the one where people have questions. So if you have any kind of questions on contributions, start typing them in. So first off, I'm going to show you two ways. We have a field in there called contributions. So if you look in the drop-down, type the letter C, find the label called contribution. We have logic built into that field. So logic meaning I can come over here now and say a contribution of $1,000 is going to be paid by the lender. And if you notice the blue area down below, it has the totals of all your fees. So let's say if I remove that $1,000 real quick, you'll see that the total borrower paid fees are $2,170. Now if I put in that $1,000 contribution, the borrower paid fees drop by that $1,000, and now the lender's picking up that, and you could see it right there in that ribbon. If I want to identify it as a seller, you'll see how that moves from the lender to the seller amount. So that is a quick way of being able to do a contribution, enter it as a positive amount, and show who it's being paid by. Sometimes people don't want to use that label, and that's fine. But you have to do things a little bit differently in your fee area. So let me show you how you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and create add custom fee. And say we have a lender's contribution. You want to, instead of contribution, instead of having the word contribution. And this also, if you're doing earnest money, items like that, they're not fee charges, just put in that description. And you do not need to put any of the APR items or not. Percentages, if you're working on, say, doc stamps, things like that, and you're creating a new field for that, you have the choice with that percentage to go off the loan amount or the property value. So I do want to point that out to you as well. So if I went ahead and did a contribution with a different name than the label we have, I would go ahead and list it here and press OK. And it's now in my drop-down as well to use on future loans. And with this now, because of that, I want you to point out to the borrower paid fees in that blue area. So say if I did a lender's contribution of $500 and I place it as a positive, it went ahead and added it to that borrower amount. Because there's no logic with what you built, you always need to enter that amount as a negative to go ahead and offset those borrower costs. Again, there's no logic with what you built. You have to enter it as a negative and always keep it paid by the borrower to offset the borrower costs. So if you had earnest money, the same thing. You would put your label, put it in as a negative, and it would offset the borrower costs. So that's how that would work if you're creating a custom fee. So what are custom contribution? So what I'm going to do now is, oh, check out this. It's a new feature I did not even notice we had. This is cool. So we have, if you're doing a refinance, if you want to add all those fees to loan amount, you have a quick way of doing it now with that add all fees to loan amount. So I want to point that out. That's pretty cool. So now you have your fee template already built. So let's save it and build our template. So you'll see in the lower right, save as template, and put in a name. So I'm just putting in the FHA fees, and again, fees. And just like my product template earlier, I'm putting in today's date, so, or my fee description. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the 5th. And so this way we're going to be able to pull the same fee template, and I'll show you how you can modify it and really start creating these templates rather quickly. If you originate in specific states, you can identify it here as well. Once I press OK, now you look in your drop downs and you'll have that fee template to use for the next product. So once you're all done with your fees here, you want to always make sure you apply the loan. So I'm going to go ahead and apply all the fees we have just entered and apply it to our loan amount. You'll see how now over on our fee area, the lump sums that I had done earlier have been removed, replaced by the closing cost details, as well as the fields are being grayed out. So if you want to make any kind of adjustments, you can come in here. You can always leave items empty if you want. That's what I have some people just put the contribution, seller contribution on here, leave the dollar amount empty just to spark that conversation with the borrower, just to give you an idea there. So you have that, and then once I apply the loan, it would make the update. So you can't physically change anything here once you use the fee templates, but just go in there and make your modifications. Moving on, we're coming to our monthly cost screen. And really, if you develop these templates, you'll never have to touch anything in this screen. So that's how you can really build these out. So I've pressed all the percentages, and I'm putting in hazard insurance at 0.35 and my taxes as an estimate of 1.25. So I'm in California, and these are the estimates we use. You can also, some people just want to put a dollar amount, and you can do that as your estimate as well. And either way you go, percentage or dollar amount, this will be part of your default, so you'll never have to key these in if you build out these templates. So now with the percentage for MI, we are doing an FHA product with 3.5% down, so the MI factor is 1.35, and you're calculating MI on the balance. So FHA loans, it is declining MI each year. You want to make sure to get that calculation by marking this box here. Next, I want to put in the cutoff months of 360, and the reason for that is MI for FHA loans carry for the life of the loan. So with that, you have the 360 here, and I'll explain the MI cutoff and the MI cutoff month when we get to the conventional product to explain that further. Now let's put in our reserves. You notice I didn't put these in my fee area because we do have fields here that you could go ahead and have this calculate for you. So I'm putting 2 months hazard, 4 months taxes, and I want to mark 12 months premium. To show you how this will play out in your fee templates, just go ahead and watch the screen and let me move back a screen. So if I go back to my fee costs, now I have a total in my prepaid escrow area. And if I go into my closing cost details, you'll now see an additional 3 lines. And you'll see the reserves for hazard and taxes as well as your premium. And you'll notice that these are grayed out and you can't edit them. You can only edit these in the monthly cost. But I do want to point out, say I remove my hazard insurance through that trash can you'll see on the side. If I remove it, apply it to the loan, when it comes into our monthly costs, that box has been removed. So I just want to point out how those two screens do work with each other. So let's go ahead and add 12 months premium. And let's save this as a product template, and you'll have this already built. So again, for my purpose, I'm putting in today's date. You don't have to. And this will be our first template we build together. So you'll have it here, press OK, and you now have your first template. So we have our first product, first template, fee, and product. So let's build our second conventional. So let's go ahead and add product. Let's put on the label of conventional, 5% down. And with this, it's going to be a lot quicker building this one because I don't have to explain as much. So let's put in $350 as your loan amount. I'm not going to mark it yes for FHA VA. Percentage, let's put in 5% for a percentage down. Let's do an interest rate of 5.5 and a term of 360. So with this, again, you'll have your 5% as part of your default as well as that term. So moving to our monthly cost screen, let's go ahead and put in your prepaid interest days. That will be your default. And you'll notice that there's no upfront MI because we didn't answer that question yes for the upfront MI field, so I wanted to point out what that trigger is. Now let's go into our closing cost detail screen. And this I'm showing you is instead of building the template, use an existing template and build from there. And what you could do with this, if you're on an enterprise account, they built feed templates, but yours might be slightly different. Go ahead and pull it down. Oh, whoops, it's up here. I put 12. What is it with 2012? I've done that twice now. So you go ahead and put in your, pull down your template. So say I'm doing a conventional product. I'm going to add a fee because they have a tax service amount. So I added a field and I placed that dollar amount and marked it as an APR item. You can also make adjustments. Say that appraisal fee is only $450 on here. So you can see how bringing down a template and then modifying it from there, modifying the fees, adding fees, or even deleting a fee, it's a lot quicker than building it from scratch. So this is a great way to start the process off, pull down the template, and then just make your adjustments. So with that, let's save it as a new template, and I'm going to label this one conventional fees, and I'm placing today's date, and I'm going to use 2014 this time. And then press OK. So now we have our two templates built within our fee template. So that's how quick it is to start really building once you have one in there and building out your fee templates. And I do suggest anytime, even if you're doing a new product that you might not do too often, if you're in here and you create a new fee template, always save it as a template. Always be able to have it for use for the next time. It just takes a couple seconds to build that template. So this way it gets you ahead of the game by doing so. Once you're done, apply it to the loan, and you'll see how all those fees total. And let's do the same thing with the monthly cost. So let's put in whatever your factor may be. I'm putting 0.35 for hazard, 1.25 for taxes, and then with mortgage insurance. We will default this field, but this is sort of a variable field, so it's your determination if you want to default this or not. I'm just using 0.87 as a factor. And I was talking about the MI cutoff percentage and the MI cutoff month. It's easy to explain it on a conventional product. So say your policy had a minimum of 24 months, they have to keep MI. So I put that in the field of MI cutoff month. So what the system's doing now is on the 25th month, it starts looking at that LTV percentage. And when it reaches 78%, that is when the MIs drop from the loan. So that's how those two fields work in conjunction with each other. You'll notice I did not mark calculate MI on balance. This is not an FHA or USDA loan, so I left it empty. And I'm putting in my reserves of 2 and 4 months, as well as collecting 12 months premium. So now we're done with our conventional product, and let's save that as a template. So go ahead, and I'm putting in my date, and I'm pressing OK. So we just created 2 fee templates and 2 product templates, and now we're going to be going quite a bit quicker through the screens. You can key up to 4 products. Just want to mention that one. We only built 2 so far. Now we're in our analysis screen. And in our analysis screen here is where you can determine your property appreciation rate. You can leave this at 0 if you choose to, or find out what your appreciation rate is in your area and place that number in here. Now you have your short-term and your long-term. And before I mentioned how these can be variable on the report, say that they were going to be in the house for 4 years, you can replace that to 48 months. If they plan to be in there 7 years, you could just see how you'd be able to change that based on their conversation. You can even show the full term if you wanted to in the long-term area and show how much total interest and mortgage insurance they'll pay on the life, for the life of that loan. So just want to be able to show those differences. Next, we have our benchmarks. The benchmarks is what you're comparing your graphs to. We always benchmark against the highest payment, so you can see that with the FHA. Doing refis, you always want to come in here and mark current mortgage, just in case you're doing the 30-year current mortgage. Maybe you're showing them a 15-year term. That payment's going to be higher, so that's why you want to make sure you point it to current mortgage. Just to show you how this works, if I select conventional, you'll see that we're comparing against the conventional, and now I have a red graph for my FHA showing how negative, how much more, again, it's paying over that conventional. So that's your benchmarks. Next, I want to go to adjust reinvestment strategy. So this is where you can apply principal to the product as well as applying it to any savings or an investment account. So we're not going to go into great depth in here. I want to show you where it is. We do have a great video tutorial. We also have Thursday trainings at 9 o'clock every week. And during that time, we really dive into things like this and dive into reinvestment strategies. Also on that call, we add, if you need a specific scenario created, we do that as well. So on the conventional product, say you want to do even payments. So I wanted to take that monthly savings and apply it to principal. And just by entering it here, you'll see that they now have a freedom point less than 26 years. So you can always go ahead and say they wanted to have the projection of when it would be paid off in 15. And you see how I'm just playing with the numbers here. So if they applied an additional close to $900 a month, they'd be under that 15-year freedom point. So just to be able to show you what you can do with those fields. Also, I want to point out, I'm not going to go into it, but if you double-click, we do have a way to reinvest MI or do lump sum payments as well. So I wanted to let you be aware of that we do have that option in here. And again, great video tutorial explaining this as well as our Thursday Q&As. So now I'm pressing OK, and just to let you know, besides applying to principal, you can apply it to your savings as well as investment. Remember how we put in our $25,000 for our savings balance? This is where you could check about the cash to close if they have enough money. So you'll be able to use this area here, as well as applying any additional amounts toward an investment account. Now lastly in this screen, we're looking at the lower right-hand corner. And this is where you could choose your different options. You can, currently it's total interest in MI. You can choose net worth, and that's always a good option if you're working with a reinvestment strategy, or total principal paid. And when you're working with Edge Live, because it's dynamic, if you ever wanted to show all three while you're on the phone with them, you could do so. And I'll show you when we go into Edge Live how you can do that aspect. So now with that, let's go ahead and advance our screen, and now we're getting to our contact information. Just fill in this information about your contact. If you put in a property address, it will appear on the report. Or you could put a label here. And you can always put maybe the city that you're in. Whoops. Irvine. And you'll see on the report that this will be up centered on the top of the report. So you can either put the street address or just leave it as a label line here. Moving on to our next screen, just to point this out, we're doing a total cost analysis. If you wanted to see an amortization schedule, you do have the option. You have your two products here. So say you put on a product and you didn't want to have it on the report, you want to delete it. This is how you delete it. You have to uncheck it to exclude it from the report. But this is also a great way. You can build out products, not show them initially, and then add it to it. So once you start working with Edge, you can really do a lot with it and a lot with those products. Now our payment note area, this is where you put in something like estimated taxes and insurance are included in your payment. Insurance are included in your payment. This is a compliance note, and I'll show you where that appears on the report. Then you can also put any additional notes. Not many. Additional notes. So you'll be able to place that in here, and I'll show you again where that appears on the report. Okay, we're pretty much done with our data input. There we have our next three screens that we have gone through. Those are just to be able to double check everything looks good. And then we come to our presentation screen. So with that, you want to put on a quote date. So I clicked on the calendar and put today's date. You have an email link, print, and save as PDF. But because the print and PDF are all in the email link, you could just go ahead and use that one. Next is the Notify Me. That is to receive email alerts, so that's what you want to tag to get those alerts sent to you. You also have a line here, Send EdgeView Alert to Partner. So if you filled out that email address, you will have this line. If you did not, it will not display. So go ahead and mark that. Now let's go ahead and click on Preview, and you see your report. So with that, with the report, you could go ahead and highlight certain items, and you saw me do that at the beginning of the call. And what I'm doing is just hovering my mouse over the field, and I'm left clicking, and that puts in the highlight. If I'm on the title, it will do the whole column, or you could click on the graph. So just showing you how the highlights work. Also, if you do a clear all, it will clear out all the highlights at once. So now let's go back to Edge and show you how you could put on a video. So if we click on Generate Link, this is going to provide you your link for your report. This is what you copy and paste and place it in your email. This is what they click on to be able to send that to the borrower, or the borrower to see their report. Below that, you have Add Audio Video, so you want to go ahead and click on that. And you'll notice the difference between this report and your preview is just the Record Message button, and that's the only difference. So if you go ahead and click on Record Message, it will go ahead and come up. Hi everyone, I'm Lori. So with that, you have your Record Message, and you need to put a message on every report. And the reason for that, you want to reach out, introduce yourself to the client. They want to be able to see you, hear from you, and this is a great tool to be able to do it. So you want to reach out, introduce yourself, talk a little bit about the report, and then go ahead and do a call to action. So with that, you at the base, you see the Record Message button. You have a play button, as well as a pause. So if you're recording, you can pause as well. You have your stop, trash can. If you want to remove it, just go ahead and press the trash can. It removes the video. And for those of you who aren't quite comfortable with the camera yet, you can do audio only, but always place something on there. I can't stress that enough. But to do the audio, go ahead and click on that Record Audio button, and it will go ahead and turn off the camera and allow you to record audio only. So you have that option there as well. So now with Edge, let's work on Edge Live. Let me show you how Edge Live works. So what I'm doing is copying my link, and I'm opening up a new tab. I'm pasting the link just like the client would do when they click on a link, and they have it pasted right there. When a client opens it up initially, they would go ahead and receive this disclosure. What I'm also going to do at this time is I'm going to bring up my iPad so you can see how the mobile app works with this. So I'm clicking on the Share button at the base, and I'm entering this on my iPad. So just one moment. E7B. Okay. And I have that up. Let me go ahead and display this for you. There we go. Great. Okay, so now you can see not only the desktop version, but also my iPad version. And I'm going to move up one other item here. So what we're going to do is, where's my report here? Okay, so just one moment. I'm going to split my screen so I can show you how you're going to provide this report to your client and be able to use Edge Live, which will allow you in real time to be able to talk to them, make any changes on the data, as well as drive the report so they could follow along with your advice. So you could see I have two reports up. I have one on the left-hand side and one on the right. The left-hand side has a Clear All button. That Clear All button is letting you know it's your report. I can go ahead and highlight. You see that blue cell outlined in blue. So you go ahead and if you highlight it. But if I'm on the other report on the right-hand side, the client's report, I can't do any kind of highlights over here. But with it, I'd be able to go ahead and drive my highlights, and it will highlight for you on that report. I'm also bringing back over my iPad version, the mobile device. And also when you click on a field here, it will also drive the mobile device as well. So it will go ahead and open up the area for you. So it will go ahead and provide that information to the borrower. And you could drive the report by clicking on the More Info button, and you'll see how once we go into the payment breakdown, it will move on the iPad to that payment breakdown area and provide that information. So with Edge Live, you could just keep drilling down and be able to have that conversation with your borrower. You could change closing costs, different fees, how that conversation. You could go ahead and go back out to the main screen, and it just follows you with it. So that's the mobile iPad. That's Edge Live. And then also you can go into Edge Live at any time. Say in the analysis screen, I want to show net worth now to my client. I change it to net worth, and I have to move out of that screen. And then you'll see once you have the report, it's now net worth. And then you'll see how it will update as well on their copy. So that's the different things. See how it just bounced and updated? So those are the items you can do with Edge Live. You can change data, you can change rates, you could go ahead and change the different add products, subtract products. So that's how Edge Live works. And now what I want to do is just to show you real quick, let me bring my iPad over, and how you can download this app. So I'm getting out of my Edge account. What you would need to do is go to your App Store. So with that App Store, I'm clicking on it, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that I have Mortgage Coach listed. So you would just search for Mortgage Coach, and you have your two apps. This is the app viewer that we were just looking at, and we also have the Rate Watch app. So this is where you want to come in and download both of those options and be able to have access to it. So we already looked at the Mortgage Coach app for the Edge report. So now let's go ahead and check out Rate Watch. So with Rate Watch, you have a download where you can go ahead and download it on your computer, or you have a mobile device option as well. So with that, you can see the screen is red. We have a negative favor on our alerts here. You'll notice if I go in that upper right-hand corner, touch that button there, you can see we have a menu, and you can be able to change different items. We are on our home account here. We do have Day Watch, so if you want to see how the rates just moved today, you can see how we already had 3 pricing alerts. So you have the opening bell, and you can see how the movements goes throughout the day. You also have the alerts, so these are the alerts that we've had. You'll be able to have these sent as email or text alerts. Edge views, if you are using your Edge account and those email alerts, besides being emailed, they also post to your Edge account here as well. We have commentary. You'll be able to look at that. You can see how we have Dan Rotwich provides a video and more information here. We have more market information by Neil. You can use all these items. You can also quote from them. Just make sure that you quote and use the correct information. We have our lenders tab. You can see what other lenders are doing within the market here. And then we have our settings. So if you wanted to go ahead and update those for email alerts, schedule when you're receiving them, you would do so right there. So that is a Rate Watch in a nutshell. And let me go ahead and remove this. Just one moment. Great. So that's our mobile app. And we're basically right now going to wrap it up. I just want to be able to show you couple more items. So let's go back to our Edge account. We finished up with that total cost analysis, sent the link out, placed a video on it, and they're ready to go. So now I want to point out the settings. So if you click on settings, you do have your contact information tab. You want to make sure all your information is updated. MLS number, make sure you have the identifier in front of that number because it's important to be on the report that way. Images, upload your logo and your headshot here. Feed templates, this is where your feed templates are listed. So you can see these are the 2 I just created. You also have an option with the Save As to do quick copies in the settings area to develop feed templates. And there's a button called Fees. If you click on that, These are all your custom fees that you created. So if you did a spelling error or something of that sort, you can come in here and make that modification. Now let's look at the product template you just built. So with that, I have our product templates over here, and let's pull in the one we created for FHA. So you can see how we have the title, the down payment, the prepaid interest, and the terms. I am going to remove the interest rate because to me the interest rate is a valuable piece of data to key in manually. You'll see the upfront MI as well as your monthly costs, reserve number months, and your premium. Then if you click on the button monthly costs, you'll see all your reserves have been defaulted here to be used. They do have dollar amounts. They will go ahead and override, but if you want, you could just clear them out and just put those numbers in there. It's up to you. It will clear out and recalculate. Always just like cleaning them up. Press OK. And you'll notice in the closing cost details, this template saved with my fee details included. So that's sort of nice to be able to have because then it's a quick hit and everything's pulled over when you use a template. Okay, so the next thing, let's go ahead and press the help button one more time. Here's the videos that we're talking about. Here's how to adjust the reinvestment strategy. Here's how to use fee templates here. But I want to point out our monthly calendar of events. So we're having a special winter workshop next week. And in the calendar of events, you'll see winter workshop. And it has all the items we're going to be covering, like purchase transaction, how to use Edge Live, 5 Edge shortcuts, annual mortgage review. These are all 30-minute classes trying to make quick hits. We'd like you to attend. The registration link is right there. And you can sign up for all those sessions. So please do it. It will enhance your Edge education and be able to really understand Edge and start out the new year great. If you have other people in the office want to attend this beginner's course, you do have the registration links for those. And then also the different coaching calls here. And I do want to point out this Josh Metal coaching call we had this last Tuesday. If you're looking for any kind of scripting, how to use Edge Live, I recommend that you watch this coaching call. And to do so, just go into that help button. You'll notice right here it says Access Coaching Call Archive. So once you do, you can see how Josh's call is posted here. Great call to listen to. Today's call will be posted right above, so you can always reference this, as well as any of our past coaching calls, as well as our training Thursdays. And yesterday's Thursday call covered all those items that Josh Metal talked about, so a lot of assets that we had. So with that, everyone, we're going to close off and finish with our training. If you have any questions, please email us at support@mortgagecoach.com. We'll be able to assist you and be able to get you moving quickly through Edge. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy your day. And I'll also be staying on if you have any questions. So if you have any questions, I'll be here for a couple of minutes to answer those. Just place them in the question box. Okay, I see no questions, so we're going to go ahead and conclude for today. Thank you again, and enjoy your day.